The Big Bang that happened billions of years ago led to the creation of stars, galaxies, and planets in our universe. So, with the advancements in technology, humans have unraveled many mysteries about the creation of the universe. However, there's still one thing to prove. Does God even exist? Many scientists and researchers have agreed the teachings of the Bible by comparing it with science today. But there are still some who believe that the Big Bang did not really need God. So, can science and technology prove the existence of God? Let's find out. Welcome to Mystery Hub, where we unravel the deepest and darkest mysteries of the world for you. In today's video, we are going to talk about how James Webb will prove the existence of God. So, if you want to know more about it, then stay with us until the end of the video. After more than 30 years in the making and numerous delays, finally, on Christmas Day of 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope successfully launched on an Ariane 5 rocket from Europe's spaceport in French Guiana, South America. This $10 billion observatory is the largest and most powerful telescope ever built, 100 times as powerful as the Hubble Space Telescope. It was described by NASA as one of the most amazing missions that humanity has ever conceived. Unlike the Hubble Space Telescope that has a single primary mirror, the JWST has an array of mirrors that have a collective diameter nearly 3 times larger in diameter than Hubble. This helps the JWST to gather more light from distant objects in the universe, thus allowing the JWST to gaze much deeper into space than any other telescope. Furthermore, the JWST is equipped with instruments that are sensitive to infrared radiation that gives it the ability to detect light beyond the visible spectrum and allows astronomers to observe faraway distant objects at infrared wavelengths. The JWST will also investigate the atmospheres of planets around other stars to understand their origins and their potential habitability by living creatures. It is an interesting paradox that the James Webb Telescope launched on the day billions of Christians were celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. According to NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, the telescope will open up secrets of the universe. He expects it to enable a quantum leap of understanding of who we are, how we got here, what we are, and how did it all evolve. This quantum leap of understanding is precisely what Christmas claims to reveal as well. The prime contractor that developed the JWST spacecraft, named Northrop Grumman, has stated that by extending our knowledge of the cosmos, the James Webb Space Telescope will play an important role in our quest to answer compelling questions, such as, how did the universe begin? Or, when were the first stars and galaxies created? Or, how do planets form? And how do we fit in the cosmos? So, how should we respond to these questions? Aside from the arbitrary nature of these statements, these goals are obviously antithetical to the biblical worldview. Rather than relying on assumptions from the past, it's always better to start with an eyewitness account, someone who has actually seen it all happen. In Genesis, we plainly read that God created everything in the heavens and the earth within 6 literal days, approximately 6,000 years ago, per the biblical timeline, all for His glory. And He created the sun, moon, and all the stars in every galaxy and corner of the universe on day 4 of the creation week and called it good. And like many of the great Christian astronomers in the past have stated, such as Johannes Kepler, we should study the heavens, but it needs to be with the goal of admiring the handiwork and glory of God and giving thanks to Him for creating and sustaining our universe. So, for this mission, the JWST will not actually be looking back in time. Rather, it'll be examining distant galaxies that have been in existence since the beginning of creation, for thousands, if not billions, of years. These observations from JWST will not show us how or when these heavenly objects were formed, but rather what they look like by directly imaging Jupiter-sized planets orbiting nearby stars and analyzing the molecular composition of atmospheres on extrasolar planets. However, it's important to note that this biblical stance should not be confused with some form of theistic evolution, which is currently being propagated by some of the programs, attempting to mix the Bible with this evolutionary cosmology. So, there are some scientists who believe in the complete opposite and say that the Big Bang, or when the universe came into existence, did not need God. Instead, scientists say we should trust the laws of physics. According to astrophysicist Alex Filippenko of the University of California, Berkeley, the Big Bang could have occurred as a result of just the laws of physics being there. With the laws of physics, you can get universes. In the very weird world of quantum mechanics, which describes action on a subatomic scale, random fluctuations can produce matter and energy out of nothingness. And this can lead to very big things indeed, researchers say. Quantum mechanical fluctuations can produce the cosmos, said panelist Seth Shostak, a senior astronomer at the nonprofit Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or SETI Institute. He further stated, "If you would just, in this room, just twist time and space the right way, you might create an entirely new universe. It's not clear you can get into that universe, but you would create it. So it could be that this universe is merely the science fair project of a kid in another universe. I don't know how that affects your theological leanings, but it is something to consider." However, Filippenko, on the other hand, also stressed that such statements are not attacks on the existence of God, saying the Big Bang, a massive expansion 13.7 billion years ago that blew space up like a gigantic balloon, could have occurred without God, is a far cry from saying that God doesn't exist. He said, "I don't think you can use science to either prove or disprove the existence of God." Apart from all this mission by James Webb will also prove the foolishness of atheism, as the aesthetic secularists advocating for purely naturalistic objectives have actually suppressed this biblical truth and altogether rejected God as the ultimate authority. And this is it for today. What are your thoughts on today's video? Do you think James Webb can actually prove the existence of God? Share your views with us in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell icon for more amazing videos about space. And thank you for watching.